Hey there, we're back for RPL, round number 14 of the season. In season 10, it is time for Spa-Francorchamps, and it is an amazing track. One that's been ran pretty much every season, I should say at this point. One of those 7 tracks that we speak about having 9 previous races up until this season. And yeah, it's time to kick things off in just a little bit here. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Alongside me tonight, RPL Titan Iron. Welcome along once again for, I don't know, the 11th consecutive week, I think.
I think 12, but I could be wrong on my numbers anyways. But
It's okay.
it happens. But yeah, this is gonna be quite fun to say the least. Are gonna be back. We're back at Spa. So many great memories. At this track, we've seen some bashing. We've seen some wild events. Two major that came to mind. Let's see, I'm trying to remember my seasons correctly. I believe season 6 here at this track. It was a last lap collision between NRX Flynn and Cryptic that resulted in Cryptic getting his first race win in RPL post-race. And then controversy the following season when Scyther and Scyther and Beatnik collided together while they were partnered in Mercedes.
Yeah,
Some quite wild moments there, but yeah, now we're focusing on tonight, season 10. This is going to be quite fun.
All right, well, you mentioned 2 previous races there. Something I want to mention about that is 2 first-time winners the last 4 times we've been here. And except for season 9, I think the last time we did not have any sort of rain in the weekend was probably back in season 4 or season 3. So the fact that we've not had a rain race an entire RPL season since Monza, a rain race, not rain event, rain race, is quite spectacular in itself, because it was Monza the last season that we saw rain come down in the race. And we could be seeing that tonight. We'll have to find out, folks. Either way, let's get to some of the things we need to talk about. Tier 2's winner yesterday, Grandpa. He switched from Xbox to PC and collected the dub for Red Bull. He's full-time for them. Red Bull have scored about 95% of the points available in the last, I don't know, 6-7 weeks. So Cookie's looking for a 8th consecutive podium, while Dainty is looking for a 9th consecutive podium. That's a personal record from him if he can achieve that. As for Cookie, he's also looking for a 7th consecutive pole, which would be the most all-time consecutively, while you'd also have as well, Cookie, if he takes pole position, he'd end up having the most poles in a single season, beating Luke's old season 3 record of 12 in a season. Cookie has 12 right now. Our championship standings, Cookie leads Scyther by 95 points. Red Bull lead McLaren by 206 points. And as we know, although it's past the halfway point, there still will be 2 rounds removed at some point during the season, because of the fact that F124 is coming out earlier than we anticipated. Therefore, obviously the calendar will be shortened, but Luke does not know what 2 races those will be yet. So some things to look forward to in the upcoming weeks for RPL. But this week with Spa, always a chance of rain. I love it at the circuit. My dad's favorite circuit, in fact, to be, a little bit more special on a circuit like this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be quite interesting. Like I said, Spa has had quite a few moments in regards to Tier 1, but also as RPL as a whole. We've had, I've already mentioned some of the wild moments I've seen watching the Tier 1, doing Tier 1 commentary in the past. In history's past, we've had some great races in Tier 2, even in the old F1.5 as well. And we've even had some fun times in the aforementioned former F2 division of RPL. And it looks like the timer is started up, so we'll be getting ready to go very shortly.
2 will be eliminated in Q1. I believe it will become 3 once Scyther joins in late, because he mentioned that. Either way, the timer is ticking, and that means time for headlines, penalties, changes for the weekend here in Spa. Let's get to it. So, we have a qualifying ban for Cam. If Tadpole or Florian were here, they'd have a qualifying ban too, but they are not. Florian has been demoted to a reserve due to mutual agreement between him and Cryptic. 3 Season 11 seats confirmed during this past week. Reese is now full-time at Red Bull once again. KVS will be full-time at McLaren next season as well. That'll be very good for him. Good to see a guy like him finally getting a chance at a top car full-time rather than just part-time. He's doing really well in that Haas this season. And Egg Williams, full-time next game cycle, Season 11. Egg also got released from the Alpine Academy this week. We got some loans to mention later on. Bazatzi's now a Tier 2 full-time, while Luke and Andrea swapped seats. They were McLaren and Alpine. Now the other is doing what the other was doing. And looking at the weather from the drivers, I think there's rain in the race. I think there is, but it's tough to tell. It says rain is on the radar, but that comes 15 minutes in with 74% chance of the race, but it shows a sunny cloud. And then 30 minutes in, it will be raining. So similar to how Season 7 was, Titan.
Yeah, completely. So look, so we're looking at rain approximately 30 minutes into the race. Let's see, our distance is what, 20 laps, roughly?
Yeah, so 22 laps. So interestingly enough, you know what's funny about this scenario? Reese and I both went through this earlier in the week. A casual spa race in RPL ends up being anywhere from 39 minutes to 45 minutes long. It depends on if safety cars come out or whatever the case may be. Let me just send you a Twitch clip of the weather so you can describe it to our stream.
Alright, I'll take a peek at it.
There you go, I sent it. So yeah, rain 30 minutes in, rain 45 minutes in. Knowing code shafters, that'll be a wet start that goes dry and is never suitable for slicks, says one of the drivers. Or viewers, whatever it is in the chat.
Let's see. Well, if there's no safety car, if the rain shows up in between that 15 to 30 minute window, given that the average race lap around here is probably what? Probably minute 44 or something?
No, a minute 40, because pole time last season was 40.9, but race lap, yeah, probably around 44, 43. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So basically 105, about 105 seconds if we had to go high, a lap.
Yeah.
So probably that would mean we're looking at, I'd say what, maybe lap 12, lap 13, 14,
but see,
maybe for the rain to show up.
The interesting thing about that, if you saw the Twitch clip I sent you from Reese's stream, as Cam serves his qualifying ban, the interesting thing about that though, Titan, is the fact that the rain cloud shows up at 30 minutes in, but it says 70% with it still being sunny 15 minutes in. So I find that very interesting with that being the case. We're on board with TB. Now we'll go through the track in a moment with turn 1 all the way till the last chicane. But I find that very interesting because if that's the case, then, I mean, you're probably going to want to start on mediums here. If the rain doesn't come till very much later, then maybe hards. But you definitely do. I think in this situation, you know, similar to FE in Japan last week, you know, we had drivers starting on 3 different tire allocations. I think this week is similar in the way where you don't know how early that rain's going to come. So if it's 15 minutes in, you could go softs and hope that you time that perfectly. It's going to be very borderline. That's all I got to say in between the rain. But we finally get a rain race for the first time in a full RPL season. It's been 22 weeks.
Yeah, and also don't forget, when it comes to rain races in RPL, even at certain tracks, you don't know if the rain, like when the first drops start falling, it'll be like it'll go from slick conditions to putting on inters or wets in like under 60 seconds, or you'll
Right.
have moments where, let's see, Imola, I believe it was Imola one season, it took an entire 8 laps just for the
That's
rain,
fair.
just for the inters to even come into play. It took over 10 minutes.
Yeah, but see, with how long this circuit is, though, I feel like it's going to come in a minute or two, or maybe a lap or two, really, as soon as that rain starts to kick in. The fake TB will be our benchmark time here on the number 97 Mercedes car. Going fast is 42.2. The Williams comes next. That is Zatsi. He's full-time tier 2 now. He is someone who is racing tonight as a reserve. Same thing with Egg. Zakaria on loan to AlphaTauri. Knights is back in Haas. And TS Korsman. It's been a while, but welcome back. Good to see you. Let's see. Who should we go on board with? I'm going to go on board with Jack Miles, who
Ironically, I'm on
has
board
had
with
a
him
podium
too.
here. I believe he's had a podium here. Let me just check my... Yep, he has. I believe that comes in the Season 7 event of this race, if I'm correct. That's when Beatnik won. No, it was not Season 7. Excuse me. For Jack, that was before then. I want to say that was 6 then? Yeah, it was Season 6 when Cryptic won. Luke and Jack both got a podium in the AlphaTauri. The reason why I thought it might be 7 is because when Beatnik won, Luke almost won for AlphaTauri that day. So, yeah, AlphaTauri, 3 podiums around the circuit and lots of almost wins by some amazing performances. Last season's winner, Race Dainty, is out on track as well. Red Bull have won the last 2 races here. And funny enough, Titan, the last time this race has been won from pole position, all the way back in Season 2, Portly Boot, Jack Miles completes the 2nd sector now.
Yeah, it is quite wild because you never know what will happen in regards to this track, because you could have like moments that can easily slingshot about. Now, I believe if my memory is right, Season 6, Flynn was the guy on pole, and he would have gotten the win had he not gotten that 5-second penalty for his incident with Cryptic that got him booted
Correct.
out of the podium.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. And that race between the victory, though, ended up being, I think, under a 10th after that collision. So, or just under 2/10, excuse me, not under a 10th. So, yeah, even with post-race penalties
nice
or
lap
not, we've
by
had
George.
some close ones in Spa. And yes, much needed lap from George. That car took pole position with Scyther last season in this race. Korsman's coming through the 2nd sector now, 13.5. Let's ride on board with the McLaren driver and see how he maximizes time here. He's going to go to the right and then dip to the left right here immediately. He's leaving it a little late compared to what I thought he would do. But now flat out here in this corner, you see there is a little bit of decrease in the speed at Blanchimont there. And now the bus stop chicane, which is the final 2 corners for the drivers, which can get tricky for them. We'll see how Korsman does with this. Comes across the line. He does go fastest in his return to RPL Tier 1. But that top 5, though, is just under 3/10.
Practically exactly 3/10 between that top 5. But like said, George putting on a really nice lap, and as you mentioned, last season was when Ferrari had a pole at this track.
Yeah, it was Scyther, I believe, who took pole position. No, it was yeah, it was Scyther. Yeah, 3.5 over Reese. Speaking to Reese, top of the board, Minico just behind as well. And now we go to Cookie, who is coming through the middle sector. I spoke with Red Bull about this sector alone. Keep in mind, Titan, the longest sector probably ever you could think of. It's such a driver's section, so we're really going to find out, is Cookie carried by his car so much, or is he really that good? We'll find out when he completes the lap, but we'll look at Sector 2 afterwards. That's what Sector 2 will be reliant on so much tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cookie currently going through the bus stop chicane. I did read the driver's chat. Scyther was hoping that if Cookie didn't make it to, if Scyther didn't make it to Q1, that Cookie should start in the back with him. But Cookie's sitting second, so I don't know if Scyther's
Interesting.
gonna get that wish.
Well, you know what would be interesting though? If Cookie does this lap like he did now and then disqualifies himself during Q2, therefore he still doesn't start at the tail end, but he starts 15th. That'd be very interesting though. Going into the next round and then disqualifying yourself, therefore whoever's out ends up feeling a little disappointed about that. Owen McLaurin had 2 podiums so far this season, and he has been on it since the change to PC. We've seen other drivers follow in with JTK, Grandpa, have success when changing to PC. And soon one of those drivers will be the Chiller, but not this week. Owen goes just ahead of the Chiller and Knights, the Academy teammate of the Chillers, 9th place. Not bad, but this field is really interesting in that top 9 area. We've got Aston Martin having a car in there. We've got 2 McLarens. We've got an Alpine. We've got a Ferrari, 2 Mercedes, and as always, the 2 Red Bulls, who are looking for a 8th win in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some of the drivers that we had to take note of. I'll even mention one thing with Cookie. Despite his lap being 2.5 tenths off of Reese's time, when I was on board with him, he did have an error coming out of the exit of Les Combes. He was quite loose out of the last corner of Les Combes and almost invalidated his lap. So that probably hindered a little bit of time on his end. So that's one thing to take note of. Minico, who's sitting in P3, continuing to show his Mercedes brilliance is what I would say. Minico, as you are aware, a couple of weeks ago was highly sought after by multiple teams and a few academies wanting him for their seat. But ultimately, Minico, he had 2 choices. He was offered a Mercedes spot for next season or a McLaren spot. Ultimately, he made the decision and went with Mercedes.
Interestingly enough, those 2 cars are very close in pace on the 2024 F1 game that will come out in 2 months' time. Zatsy is coming across the line, and he will improve 1 place. That means teammate AMS Egg will have to go again and improve. Zatsy said this used to be one of his top 2 tracks. Recently on this game, can't say the same. And with that car, I'm sure that car is not going to be fast at all tonight. If this was the updated patch to F123 with, I don't know, their second patch, we obviously had the one where McLaren ended up getting faster. If there was a second patch for this game, I know one thing that would be added and helpful to Williams: more straight line speed. That car had a lot of straight line speed in last year's F1 season, and for this F1 game, that would be beneficial to them, but it's not like real life entirely. I'm on board with George now, coming through the ending bits of Sector 1, up previously from what he was doing last season in this race, but down in Sector 1. And for George, you know, had a decent Tier 2 race here the last time he ran the circuit, but it did not all come together. As for George, he's going through No Name. Easy place to invalidate right there. He's had a little snap on the rear. And you spoke about Minico, just something I want to mention. In other tiers of RPL, congratulations to him on Sunday getting his first ever RPL podium in Formula Endurance. It took a while, but Canada has finally seen the podium for the first time in nearly 3 years, and George almost seeing the barrier right there, and he's down on the time still on this lap. We're going to switch over to Luke Grange coming through Sector 1 now.
Yeah, that was a that car got evil right there, right at the end of Sector 2, but thankfully George managed to keep it together and keep it out of the wall. Definitely shows the amount of improving and how well he's been doing as of late. So George basically becoming pretty much like one of the grizzled veterans.
George goes to the pit lane believing he's safe, and that top 7 area believes they are safe because There's only one driver going to be eliminated from Q1 on pace in about less than 5 minutes time. Luke is going wide there, and he invalidated the lap time while he was 2/10 up there in the middle sector. Not enough for our all-time winning driver. We're going to nights now. Here's a Rouge. I'm really going to wonder, wet or dry weather, will we see any overtakes or massive moments there tonight? AMS Egg, fair play, up to P11, improving massively, making it Zatsy in the bottom area going to be eliminated. Knights is out on track and down by 6,000s. This is the area last season in Q3 where Bourbon ended up going to the left side right there and ended up going upside down the last time in RPL F1 that we had a driver get airtime like that and go upside down. Now no name for Knights while Luke Range retires. It looks smooth from him. This is much better in the second sector, I'd assume, but I don't think it's going to be enough to improve any places as of the current moment. He still needs to find time. We have 3 minutes left to go, and now this tricky chicane area can catch a driver out very easily on the curbing, and as the clouds get darker, the track will change, and we'll see what our drivers end up doing. But as for Knights coming through the middle sector, he is up by 2/10 as to be expected.
Yeah, Knights is really firing up the pace here as he goes through Blanchimont, heading towards the bus stop chicane to finish his timed lap. And let's see what kind of a lap he's going to be doing. He's got a 42.6 currently for his time. Here he comes across the line, and it is 7th fastest with a 42.3.
Fair improvement from our driver, who has been absolutely on it when he's raced in RPL F1 since returning from that incident from the lead in Japan in Tier 2 that saw him not race for a little while in RPL. He's been a different guy in terms of pace and actually getting the results. A first Tier 2 podium not too long ago as well in Singapore last season. Lewis Piper's joined the session, and it looks like it's getting very cloudy to the point where it might rain soon. So the driver, a part of the bottom 3 now, Zatsy, we're going on board with. The last chicane right there can be tricky on a driver like we've said before, and now turn 1. Here we go. All the way at that 75-meter braking point, you want to brake. And you want to rear lock it a little bit at turn 1 to find some time. We've seen drivers do that on accident and cause themselves crashing. Scyther had it happen last season. He returned to the podium in that race. Also, TB, Grandpa, and another driver had a 3-car collision at turn 1. But Arouge and Radion seem to be okay for Zatsy, but this car lacks so much speed to where he's only 88 thousandths up. Most drivers going to be doing 29.9s in the first sector, whereas Zatsy was off by 3/10. RPL Zakaria retires. He is on the bubble zone, just barely safe. As for Zatsy, here he comes, finding a little bit of time in Sector 1. Gonna need to find time in Sector 2, and the rain in qualifying has just hit, so this is not good for Zatsy, who needs to find time and get out of that bottom 3. I don't think he's gonna do it because the drops are falling. We know Lewis Piper has joined us. He'll be starting at the tail end of the field. So will Scyther when he joins. But now, Zatsy coming through the middle sector. What's the rain done to this guy? He is only up by a 10th. He will be out of qualifying right now, so he needs to have a magical last sector in order to get to the top 15, but I don't think he's going to do it.
Unless he pulls something major out of this final sector, but I think the rain has done its course. And unfortunately, Zatsy, yep, there he goes.
No! Man, I really would have wondered what it would have been for him, even if it was just a small improvement, and what the difference the rain is doing. Checker flag is out. The only other driver on the lap is Gecko, and he has backed off. Zatsy is out of qualifying. And no surprise there with that Williams. However, fair credit to AMS Egg nearly getting to the top 10 before the rain came and getting out of that bottom area. His good friend Grandpa won yesterday in Tier 2. And his mate he knows in real life, but you know what? It's not going to be the day for Zatsy in qualifying here in Spa. The top time, a 41.5. And that is only 0.2 off of the Tier 2 pole time last time we ran here and 0.6 off of the F1 pole time last season. However, the problem is for these guys, though, I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that in Q2 or Q3 with the rain falling down. Reese, Cookie, Minico, the top 3 in Q1. FRC Knights with an impressive performance getting through in the top 10. AMS Egg, the big star of the session. Both AlphaTaris are through. Zakaria returning, this time on loan. And the bottom 3 eliminated in Q1. Zatsy on pace. Cam with a qualifying ban that he has not served in the last couple of weeks. And Lewis Piper, who showed up late, having to start 18th. And later on, we'll get Scyther for our 19th runner. Man, that rain is really coming down.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're going to be looking at interconditions for Q2.
Scyther said he'll need an invite in the next 60 seconds. So we'll find out what he can do from the back of the grid for the second week running. It'll be like a recovery drive like he had last season in this race when he spun out from second place following T.S. Korsman from the lead. So, no surprise that this will be inters. I'm really wondering how much more carefully these guys are going to take it. Titan, I don't know if you remember from the previous Spa races. I think it was Season 6, I believe, as Scyther is finally here. From Season 6 and shown in the first out of context of RPL. Yeah, first out of context video of RPL, to be clear, for those who are not aware. It was going up a Rouge when the conditions started to change, that 4 different drivers spun when going through that area, which all started with Scyther.
I do remember that, yes.
Hit everybody else behind. So I won't be surprised if these drivers end up taking a Rouge very, very carefully now because of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised myself either, because it was just wild to just see one car go. A Keko goes around in Les Combs.
Oh no!
I guess
luckily,
it's early.
He's out of the way of the other drivers. But yeah, the interesting thing I think about this though, Titan, is that 13 of the 15 guys are out there on track, and the thing I'm thinking, because of the traffic right now we see in Sector 2, you're going to want to get out there as early as you can just because of the fact that, you know, with these drivers, I think the timing is going to be beneficial in terms of the start of the session, because I don't know if that rain will get better or not. We've already seen some rain sessions in qualifying, like Monaco and Baku this season, but Belgium hits once again, and no surprise with that. With that being said, though, yeah, I do really wonder if we'll end up seeing... Now everyone is out on track. I do end up wonder if we'll end up seeing the times be the best as they can throughout the start of the session and no improvements later on. We have AMS Egg, who is starting a lap for Williams. We're going to go on board with him and Titan... Oh, Spinner. That's the chiller. We... I've not had you cover a lap so far as he goes through La Source now. I'll have you take it away as we get to turn 2.
Yeah, so here comes Egg, making his way up to Eau Rouge and Radion. Now, let's see, yeah, he does get off the throttle just a little bit, but still keeps the majority on the power. Down the Chemo straight. Heading into Les Combs. Let's see what he's got for his first sector. Looks like we're looking at a 31.9 for him. Nice and easy. Doesn't touch the inner curbs too much as he navigates through Les Combs. Out of Les Combs now. Back up to the gears. Getting that high revs up. Now up to Bruxelles. Coming out nice and easy on the power. Now through No Name. Riding that curb. Keeping it, just a little bit of a wiggle, but keeps it in firm control. Now to Puhan. He has a break in just a little bit. He gets back onto the throttle, going down the hill. Nice and tight up through there. Now into, I believe that's the campus chicane. Nice and easy, keeping that throttle input, just seeing that footwork of the throttle there from Egg as it comes across sector 2, 22.7 to complete sector 2 time. But there.
Well, now he's just got a couple corners to go. And in these conditions, it can definitely be make or break right there. Not always full throttle there through Blanchimont. And now the bus stop chicane, you don't want to outbrake yourself. But if you do rear lock it slightly, you may find some time. And now he comes out of the final corner. A little bit of a slide there on that curb. We'll find out what the others are doing. 53.2 is the benchmark. Next is T.S. Korsman. And he says, of course, I'm going to go to the top. Owen, second for him. Across the line further on back, we're going to go to Luke Grange because he's the next one of the competitive guys coming across the line. DeChiller is fourth. That's not actually a bad lap from Owen at all. Gecko is on the board. Jack is on the board. And Luke Grange comes across the line to go only fourth. We have Mercedes guys still on laps and coming across the line. Minico just had a little bit of a tank slapper. KVS came across the line, and here's TB only going fourth. How about Cookie and Reese? What are the Red Bulls doing? I'm going to see what Reese's second sector is, and then look at Cookie's lap coming across the line. We have George only seventh, so we might see some surprises getting eliminated. 22-1 from Reese, and he almost spun right there. That was so close from Reese on the edge. Cookie across the line. He can only manage third for that Red Bull. We have FRC Knights, who is coming across the line to start a lap. And then next is Minico, sixth for Mercedes. So George is looking at potential elimination if the other guys in that bottom five get good laps. Reese had that big slide there at the last corner of Sector 2, but I don't think it'll matter too much anyway. He's only seventh. You can definitely see the difference that did between him and Cookie. Third through seventh, massively close.
Yeah, and if you're looking at some of the times here, I was also seeing on the track map, Reese, Zakaria, Cookie, and Minico were the last four cars to come out of the track when everyone else was firing out. And looking at their positions, you have Minico in sixth, Reese in seventh, Cookie, I mean, is the exception, but that's because he's cracked, maybe on crack, I don't know. Sitting in third, and Zakaria dead last of the time lapse. So them coming out a little late has affected their times.
Can you imagine if RPL did a drug test with the drivers? I think before, if that was in place, they would have wanted to do some with you a while ago. But either way, FRC Knights is coming through the ending bit of Sector 2. We're just having a bit of fun here, folks. 10 of you watching.
I mean, think about it. I mean, his name is Cookie. What is he lacing his cookies with?
You know what's interesting, though? He might actually be on crack. You might have a good point, because that C in Cookie used to be lowercase. Now it's capitalized, though. Why did he change that? I don't know. Either way, I actually was having some cookies to munch on, so I don't know what that's going to be like then for Cookie's luck around here tonight. FRC Knights has a bit of traffic in front of him, but he negotiates that quite well. The Haas comes across the line. Will any of the Haas cars get in Q3? No. It looks like the conditions are worsening by a lot, considering that Knights' lap was down where Zakaria was, and that's 3 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, it's not looking too great, and KVS is actually back out on another lap, and he got through Sector 1, and he's only 4/10 down, and same with George. So the conditions are worsening, so I mean, I hate to say it, but I think these laps is probably what we got for Q2. And if it's true, that means we're saying goodbye to both AlphaTauris, both Haas's, and the Alfa Romeo DeChiller, and George just makes it in, and Egg puts a Williams in Q3. I believe this is the third time this game cycle. I think it is the third time this game cycle that a Williams has gotten into Q3.
I don't think it's the third time. I think there's been maybe one or two more, but I will say it's the first that I can remember since Baku.
Last season, Baku, Zakaria, and Beatnik both put Williams in there.
This season that was with Beatnik and Zakaria. Yeah, but that was still in a similar kind of condition to this though. when the laps that happened first counted most. So, yeah, AMS Egg, who was in the commentary box in this race 5 seasons ago, is now going to be in every session 5 seasons later. And this time, fair credit though, Williams, Aston, Mercedes, all Academy cars into Q3. I think that's the only team that can say that for this this session in terms of at least having one car into Q3. No, McLaren and Alpine can say that with the Alpine Academy. Yeah, I think this might be it, unless the last 2 minutes will see massive improvement. But we have 6 minutes to go.
When you have a sec, you might want to take a look at the Tier 1 driver chat.
I did. Is Egg the best driver I've seen? I don't know. That's a good question. That is a good question, or a good statement at least.
Well, technically, he's gonna be into Q3 unless these guys improve. So it looks like you're gonna have to be ready to say that come next in about 5 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna look at Reese's stream because I want to see if anything improves in this session at all. The weather has changed a little bit in terms of the cloudy patches for the race. I think there's a chance it might not even rain in the race, but I mean the percentage says otherwise. But I always go in what the top part says, and it says dry and cloudy now, which is different. So yeah, I'm interested to see in terms of you know, what the weather does look like for the next qualifying session or the current qualifying session with the remaining minutes.
Baby, keep it together.
I think you saw that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at the tire difference. Wets are faster right now, I think.
Well, I mean, Owen is out there getting a little, just getting a little time with it, just to see what he has.
And I think that's either good or bad for him, Titan, because if these are the conditions for Q3 and worsening, why not kind of test it out on just one outlap? Although you're second and you don't want to chance it, I think it's really smart to do in a way.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, because if the conditions really are worsening in this wet weather conditions, Owen testing the waters with it is actually a very smart thing to do, because he'll have a general idea of what to do, what he's got to do for Q3, and also in Owen's mind, it'll give him an advantage going into Q3. But technically, if this was in real life F1, this would be red flagged and probably will be on like a 4-hour delay or something. Yeah,
because FAF gone soft. But see, the thing I will say, as Owen is coming through a Rouge, almost losing it right there. We spoke about AMS Egg's lap being impressive, but I want to give some credit to Jack Miles and Owen both, because their laps are pretty good too, nonetheless. 8/10 down in the first sector, so you could just see the track conditions are not improving. And I think with what we got is what we got. I think the only guy who can actually improve on a lap is FRC Knights and get ahead of Zakaria, but even then, I don't think it's going to be by much. Knights said he invalidated his first lap, so that's why he's that far down. NRM KBS is on a lap as well. We have lots of guys out on track, but I just don't see why to chance it.
If I saw his blip correctly, I believe Knights invalidated at Radeon.
Okay, well that would make sense. Speaking of Radeon, Chiller just had a moment.
We're going for a low ride.
Yeah, don't crash out, Owen.
Nah, that would be good. I mean,
that would not be good.
Puhan has basically become a slip and slide.
Well, Owen's just trying to kick up some kitty litter now, and I think this is it from our qualifying session. I think in the next 2 minutes, you're not going to find time. Owen's finding some moments for the stream.
Yeah, he's just having some fun.
Well, you know what? Let's let him. I don't think they see this much rain in Ireland, but you know what? Why not? Right?
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know either. The only person that would probably give me an accurate answer is either Paulo God or Aaron Ocon.
If we're thinking stereotypical for Ireland, it doesn't rain there. It just, the only precipitation they get is beer.
Well, I mean, with Spa, though, in terms of precipitation, it seems like it's nearly every season. I think last season was one of the rare ones where it didn't rain, in fact. KVS invalidated. Chiller is 3 seconds down, and, you know, I wouldn't want to imagine how much he'd be down if he was still in a Red Bull, too. But either way, only 3 drivers yet to retire. 2 Haas's, a Ferrari, or a Ferrari Academy car, as well, with the Chiller, and then Alfa Romeo. And this is it from all these guys. I think they're done. I don't see any way that anyone improves. But FRC Knights wants to go for P14, from what it looks like then. Yeah, in terms of Spa, this circuit just, it seems
he
to
brought
rain
up a
every
good
time.
point. I just realized that he just brought up a good point because I just looked at the driver chat. Cookie just said, for it being a wet session, P3 to P10 is insanely close, and he's not wrong. Literally, 3.5 tenths separate those 7, well, 8 drivers.
I was just about to mention that, and that's actually a fair point, and something to mention as well. If these conditions are anything similar for Q3, every driver I've seen since the conditions have gotten worse, since 6 minutes left in the session, every driver I've went on with has slid through Rouge and Radeon every single time. Whether it be a massive slide or not, it's always some sort of slide through that section from the drivers. FRC Knights is the only one who can improve places at this point in the session. He has Zakaria in front of him, but in the drop zone, NRM KVS for Haas, the Chiller, Gecko, Zakaria, and Knights. 2 Red Bull cars, 3 Ferrari cars, and yeah, there you have it.
And it's wild that literally for the top 10 going into for Q3, if we had to look at the engine supplier, we have let's see, 2, 4,
3 Alpine cars.
We have 6 out of the 10 cars on Mercedes power units. The Mercedes, the TB and Minico, the McLarens of Luke and Korsman,
True.
Aston of Owen, and Egg in the Williams.
Yeah. So 4 Merc Academy cars, 6 Merc powered cars, whereas only 1 Ferrari car getting through, while you have 3 Alpine Academy cars and 2 Red Bull cars getting through. Q2 is done and dusted, and FRC Knights is out, and he is joined by teammate NRM KVS, Academy teammate DeChiller, and both AlphaTaris with Gecko and Zakaria. In the top 10, it is TS Korsman, who has gone fastest once again, and his return in RPL is looking very, very strong, but it needs to be strong in Q3 in order to take a pole position. He's not had one since last season. McLaren have not had one since Monaco. It's the only non-Red Bull pole this season. Owen second for Aston. Cookie third for Red Bull. Jack fourth for Alpine. TB fifth for Mercedes in Q2. Meaning 5 different teams in that top 5. Here are your guys in the relegation zone and out of qualifying. Cookie said he's running 2517 wings, by the way, for those of you wondering.
Minico's got 2316, and Korsman has 3121.
Interesting. Q3 underway. Let's see what tires are preferred. Wets. So this may be a qualifying session once again where the first one out there has the best lap. And I will tell you right now, the only team in this qualifying session that has not seen pole position in RPL is the Williams team. Their best qualifying...
Looks like the Mercs are out.
Yep, here we go. Everyone is getting out quickly. The Red Bull's coming out later than others. I see movement from Dainty's garage.
Oh,
but right now,
AMS
Egg is the first one. Correct, yup. So just want to go over a few things from teams, by the way, because this is the type of qualifying session similar to Portimao a couple seasons ago in RPL, when it was Cookie for Alfa Romeo who took a front row for them, their best start. Hungary I think that same season or the season before, Alfa Romeo saw the second row of the grid in P3 and second place. But as for best qualifyings or things like that for teams, or the last time they've been on pole position, here you go. We have Williams having their best qualifying spot coming back in France of season 3 in P6 for a team like Aston Martin. They've not seen pole position since they were Racing Point back in season 4. Alpine's only pole came with Beatnik in season 7. And obviously teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull have all taken poles, but it is Cookie looking for a 7th consecutive pole, the most consecutive all time, and if he takes a 15th pole today, which he is looking for, he is tied to Chiller for 3rd on the all-time pole list. That would be a massive, massive win for Cookie. And the Red Bulls are one of the last ones out on track.
Yeah,
so they're at
I'm
a
just
disadvantage if the conditions don't
noticing
improve.
both McLarens, both Mercedes, the Alpine, and the Williams, they all came out in that little bunch. And then just a little bit further back, you had George, then Cookie, but then way back there is Reese and Owen. Owen currently going through Les Combs, and Reese going through No Name. But Egg is going to be the beginner for the benchmark. So let's go on board with him. See what he's got. He heads down into La Source. Down into turn number 1. It's nice and easy on that throttle output. Getting it back down. Get back down on the gas. Let's see how the wets handle for Rouge and Vadion. And yeah, he did have to lift going up that hill, but back
No
down
slide
onto
in
the
comparison
power.
to others, though, Titan. That's massive for him. A lot of guys in Q2 saw sliding through there. Egg didn't do that. Egg lifted and did the right thing. 32.7.
Yeah, Egg currently navigating through and out of Les Combs. Keeps it running on that curb. Now down into Searles. Looked like a little slide on the entry, but doesn't seem to be affected that much. A little bit of a wide exit as well. Now through No Name. Oh, keep it together.
Wow.
How he did not
TV was only doing a
invalidate that
10th
is
better in
just wild.
Sector 1, by the way. We don't have any live timing for Cookie. 32.4 through Sector 1. Okay, so the conditions, from what it looks like, either are staying the same or slightly getting better. So it could be similar to Baku in terms of Q3, where the times do improve at the end, but they don't improve massively. If they do improve massively, we do see a lot of upsets coming. 26.6. The Mercs behind that is Minico and then TB. I want to see what TB's doing. 26.6, 26.0 for him. So Egg is not that far off from what he's going to be beaten by here in a couple of moments' time, even though he had that massive, massive moment. And he still went a little bit wide there at Blanchimont, not hitting the apex, but the final bus stop chicane for the Williams driver, outperforming the car this week. They have no full-time drivers this season as the current moment because everyone else moved up to Aston Martin. Across the line, 58.2 is the benchmark, while Minico will cross the line. He invalidated the lap time, so TB is the next one, and he will go pole position. Next is Jack Miles. Can he steal it? Yes, he does. Nice little upset from Jack. Here comes the McLarens. Korsman can do better. 55.9. Luke Grange, 56.5. The all-time pole sitter is on the front row, while the Red Bulls are now negotiating the final sector. Can Red Bull get another pole position this season? They've had 12 already. All coming with Cookie. Across the line, he only can be on the front row for right now. Cookie beaten by Korsman. What does Reese do? Reese slides it
nice
though.
Slide.
That is a massive drift from Reese, but what does it do in terms of the lap time? Dainty crosses the line, and that still was good enough for 4th.
That was a really well slide to watch.
Yes, it was. Here comes Owen McMorran. He has not had a pole position in RPL since season 1. Across the line, 3rd. That is the 2nd row for him. That is incredible.
I was gonna say if Owen wanted to pull in basically a Lance Stroll kind of pole, that would have been very impressive.
I feel like that's the kind of session we're going to see. I still feel like there's time to improve, and there are drivers who will be improving. Spinner in the first sector, that is a Red Bull, that is Reese Dainty around. Minico invalidated the first lap and has a chance to do something magical on the second lap. We've seen some good qualifyings from this guy before. We had that happen in Baku from him in these wet conditions, and he said the last time it was a wet league race, he had won it. So now, can he put this Mercedes car on pole? The last time they had pole in an RPL race comes in Singapore, but it's gonna have to wait a little longer. He aborts the lap, going to the pit lane. While I don't think anybody on track is improving, except for the fake TB, who had another go at it and improved by 5/10, going up one place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just checking the sector split times between Korsman and Cookie. In Sector 1, Cookie was roughly 2/10 up. In Sector 2, they were equal. The difference was literally 0.03 of a second in Sector 2 between Korsman and Cookie. But then Cookie lost all that improvement from Sector 1 in Sector 3, lost just over 2/10, and that's how he is basically 1/10 behind Korsman. So that's the mistake that Cookie had.
That's the second week in a row that's happened. Econ! Welcome back, Econ. Goodbye, Econ. Well, I'm gonna assume your favorite driver is Owen. And speaking of Owen, Invade says Owen's pace on PC is insane. I have to say about it though, something that was mentioned in the drivers chat. The top 6 is made up of all PC drivers. How ironic.
I wonder what kind of lap he would have had.
Welcome back, Econ. Goodbye, Econ.
I actually know who he is because in another league that I used to be in, him and TB used to be teammates in that.
Econ. I want to know what that means. What does econ mean? I feel like it has a definition.
Beats me, honestly.
Econ meaning. Econ usually refers to economics, a social science that analyzes the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services.
Oh my god. So, I was just checking the chat to see what Minico put in that he would have had a decent lap had he not invalidated. I checked his invalidated lap. His lap is dead equal to TB's lap. That's what his lap time would have been if it didn't invalidate. He would have had basically an identical lap to TB.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see, Titan, if these conditions improve or not. And if they do, how close will the field be? I think these wet conditions bring everyone closer to the Red Bull. I know, yes, I'm aware that these conditions are driver conditions, but guess what? Cookie's in the fastest car, and I really don't think he's the #1 fastest driver here. I think there's guys like Korsman and Scyther, and maybe even Owen in that list who can challenge if given the equal machinery. Top 3 prediction, if conditions improve, I'm going to go with Korsman, Cookie, and I'll go with Luke. If conditions improve, though, either way, Minico on a lap, and this is his first lap of the session, and maybe one of only 2 laps he can get in here. We have AMS Egg out on track, chancing it on the intermediate tires. Everybody else is on the wet tires. Let's see what happens here for pole position. Minico going Upper Rouge and Ratty on everyone else here, except for Egg that I rode on board with. Slid through there. Minico kept it very nice and tidy through that
Minico's
section.
gonna run into traffic.
Front. There is traffic, so he has to navigate his way through this. It is a 32.4 in the first sector. That's on par to what Cookie was doing, so that does mean the conditions are looking to improve slightly, but by how much? Is it good enough to set anyone faster? And keep in mind, as Q3 comes to an end here, Cookie is trying to take a record-breaking 7th consecutive pole. Maxwell and him have the record tied right now. You saw that little snap from Minico. I wonder how that's going to unsettle him for the rest of the circuit and the rest of the lap in terms of track evolution and track improvement. He's got a Red Bull in front, and he's sliding there through, I believe that is Puan. And now, coming to campus, the chicane. That's yellow flags for the Red Bull, letting him go. But now the sector split. He comes across in just the nick of time. We're going to find out how Minico compares to the competition. This will be vital for Minico to be good through Sector 2, a driver section. This section wasn't as good as the other one in Sector 1, but what I can say for sure is that he's around where TB should be, and that's exactly where you should be, considering they're both in the same car. 50 seconds remaining.
Yeah, 50 seconds remaining to go. I'm wondering if Korsman and Reese are going to make it to the line in time. I think they will, but not by much. See what Minico's got as he comes across the line, and the time is
Wow.
23rd fastest, 6:56.2 for him. That puts him third right now, but I'm wondering if Egg is gonna pull one of the wildest upsets ever. If these Inters are really are good enough, I'm actually curious myself.
I know. I want to see what he does for the first sector before looking at anyone else. Can everyone cross the line before coming across? Korsman, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He barely made it. Checkered flag is out.
George is invalidated.
George invalidated. That's it from him. TB has a lap ongoing, and what is Egg doing in the first sector? Let's look at the race director because I could not catch it. In terms of improvement, Egg is down by 2/10. So although the Inters may not be the tire that you're looking for, there is still track improvement. With that being said, here comes TB into the pits. Next across the line is the all-time pole sitter who invalidated Luke Grange. But what would this lap would have been? I want to know now. 55.9's the pole time. He would have went second. That is crazy. Jack Miles, 5/10 up for Alpine. What's he looking for? Last pole position for Jack Miles comes in Season 8 Abu Dhabi. What's the Alpine got on hand? He crosses the line. He's third. Owen is next for Aston, and he's going wide and got no front wing. That is it from him. Next up will be Minico. Can Minico steal a pole position for the first time this season for Mercedes? It would be the second this game cycle and the first for Canada. Across the line, Minico comes to go third. That is a really good lap. Who is? Reese. He is. You're right. Egg crosses the line. He couldn't improve. Next up is the Red Bulls. He's looking for a 7th consecutive pole position. It would be the most all-time consecutively. Crossing the line now. Cookie does it. Oh my God. Reese, second. And that is 7/10. A Red Bull front row lockout. Cookie, the most consecutive pole positions with a fucking banger of a lap. 13 poles, the most in a single season. Oh my Lanta.
Wow.
Oh my God. Cookie continues to impress me. And it's a Red Bull front row lockout for the second week in a row. Oh my God. I mean, yesterday for Tier 2, we saw pole position separated by 1,000th, and then today, I think that's the largest pole gap this game cycle for Tier 1. But that's the most between the first team and then the second team. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Jeez.
I mean, what do you say to that? How do you respond to that? You can't stop this guy. A 7th consecutive pole position, third on the all-time pole list, tying to Chiller, and the most poles in a single season. That's the lap that's worth it for those records. Reese, second. Best qualifying this season still. Korsman, third. Minico, fourth. Tying that best qualifying, I believe, this season. Jack, Owen, good qualifyings. Luke, George, TB, a little bit disappointing from them. But AMS Egg, man, if he had put on the wet tires, he maybe could have went ahead of TB if the tires were in his favor. If, for some reason, though, for this race, the rain ends up being a lie, the strategy is soft, medium, soft, hard, medium, hard. Likely being soft, hard, medium, hard with the entire field, though, except for Red Bull. As for the pit stop loss, 18 seconds. ERS gain back is 17%. We're going to find out what the weather is in just a moment. Still a little bit of clouds, though.
You know, with Cookie's lap, this is literally the perfect mean that we ought to go for it.
It does rain at the end of the race. Okay.
I think it suits it perfectly.
Fair enough. We got 15 seconds. It's going to dry up at the end, apparently, but it's going to be rain in the middle section of the race. 5 seconds remaining. What tires do you go with for the start of the race when rain is approaching later on? The 5 lights are about to kick off the Belgian Grand Prix for a 10th time in RPL. In the 10th season, the lights are out. Away we go. Zatsy didn't go off the line, but the 2 Red Bulls side by side. Reese Dainty takes the lead of the race and Cookie got tapped. Yellow flags further on back. That's Knights around, but it's now a duking it out for second place in a battle between Cookie and Korsman, and Reese leads the race. Well, Zatsy got disqualified. He didn't go, but here comes Cookie. Here comes Cookie already, and he's about to split Reese and Korsman. Are we going to see 3 wide? Yes, we do. Through the middle, Korsman 4 wide. 4 wide to sector 2. Dainty holds on to the lead of the race.
We're not even through sector 1 of lap 1, and we already just seen wild moments all over the place.
4 wide for a split second. Flashbacks to 2018 in real life, and Jack Miles is in a big battle with TB and almost put TB in the wall. But Reese Dainty, a very critical start from him on soft tires. He got a very good getaway from that line, and so did Korsman, both on softs.
Now just taking a look at the tire setups here, it looks like Reese, Korsman, Gecko, and Knights are on the soft compound tire. The Chiller taking a gamble on the hard compound, and everyone else is on the softs.
We have TB, who is close to the car in front. That is Jack Miles. This is a unusual place to make a move, but here he goes! Down the inside!
Oh my god, that's not good.
Oh boy, TB was a bit ballsy and up in front of that George and Owen, battling it out, and a big moment for TB, pushing Jack wide. AMS Egg looks to take advantage. Here's Owen and George, and it's 2 by 2, about 4 rows deep between the midfield. Owen is still trying to get the move on George. Jack Miles in the braking zone has a chance, and there's a spin. There's a spin from Cam. Cam has been tagged, trying to avoid the stack up at turn 1, and he got affected most.
It looks like Egg just went for a little slide in La Source. Got tagged by a Haas, I think, or it could have been an AlphaTauri. I couldn't tell the front because they both have white colored noses, so I couldn't tell which one it was.
Punted.
Woo.
Egg got punted from the Chiller, and Egg got a corner cutting penalty from that, which could be removed.
Well, that's not fun there. And I just
Scyther.
noticed Minico just passed Korsman for 3rd.
Yeah, he did. That was on the Camel Straight, right before the braking zone. Scyther, oh my god, he almost hit the wall right there. He, remember, did not get to qualify, and he's trying to gain places from the back of the grid here, up to 15th. And now, here he goes on the right side, trying to make the move on the Academy teammate. He goes through. Nice little overtake from Scyther. He has gained the most places out of anyone on lap 1.
He's going for another.
Here he goes on the AlphaTauri Zakaria, putting him in an uncomfortable spot and making contact, but going through. Now for the lead. Hold on, Cookie on the outside of teammate Reese, both with consecutive podiums, now going for the lead. Dainty holds on.
Yeah, I wonder if possible team orders might come into effect a little bit later on, as the cars are just filing around positions for their fastest laps right now. Was Reese for a split second, then Cookie had it, now Minico has it. DRS now enabled. I'm wondering, I think with giving Cookie's pure speed at the moment. I think they're gonna make the switch on the Camel Straight here. Let's see. As Cookie on the outside gets through, we have a new leader. And Owen dealing with George. And Coors and
That
Luke
is
involved.
3 cars about to be under a blanket into this corner, but they all get it settled. Wow. Scyther around the outside of DeChiller. Little bit of team orders there, but DeChiller costs himself with Zakaria on the outside. Almost contact between the two. DeChiller in front of Zakaria after the braking zone, but the top 4 are all in play for this race lead here.
Absolutely, there's a nice little bit of a close gap between the top 4, but now Minico has fallen out of the 1 second DRS gap. But then a little bit further back, Owen's got himself a mini train of his own, starting with the first car of Luke and going all the way back to the last points paying position, owned by KVS.
I think Dainty's used a lot of battery just to keep up with Cookie. 25% on the battery, whereas Cookie's got 60%. Minico, though, no battery to spare here. George is right on the back of Luke, pressurizing him to the bust-up chicane. He's got the fake TB behind him, who collided with him in Silverstone. And now Scyther gets the move done on Egg while the cloud cover just continues to come over the track.
Yeah, with rain inbound somewhere after the midpoint of this race, I do wonder if anyone else is going to be trying to jostle for extra positions before the rain shows up. But this will be quite interesting indeed. I'm just taking a peek at Korsman. Unfortunately, it looks like he's not close enough to warrant an attack. However, Luke is. He's going to go the long way around going up against Owen. They get very close in Les Combs. Very close there. Ooh, Luke gets a little loose. Keeps it together. Owen maintains the 5th place spot.
Very much close quarter racing between those two competitors right there. Further on back, remember Lewis Piper did not get to qualify either. He's 15th now, getting overtaken by DeChiller. A neat little move from him down the inside and going through. DeChiller leading the penalty standings, so good from him to keep it clean on the first 4 laps thus far.
Yeah, Lewis Piper in that Alpine down to 15th. He hasn't played this game in nearly 4 months, so he is trying to get all that rust off. But unfortunately, he's sitting all down in the 15th position. But still, looks like no sign of that train showing any signs of stopping or switching about. But they did add a new car to the train. Scyther is now at the back of the train.
Very vital for him to be in this position right now, by the way. He needs to do what he can in order to gain spots and get yet another podium in RPL. Gecko getting Knights, and this train just continues to form here for what is 5th place. Keep in mind, if any of those self-tire guys mess up their strategy when the rain comes, this could be the battle for the podium. Oh, Owen, DRS tricks here with Korsman. Korsman not wanting to go through, and this is backing up the train. Or, sorry, that's Luke going through, not Korsman. Luke finally through, but that has put everyone in that area all closer together, and it's become a big gaggle. Here comes Owen. Here comes TB on George. Who's going to make the moves here on the Camel Straight? Here goes Owen on the outside.
Oh
George on Luke, and that's almost a collision. George to the grass. 2 by 2. Luke's going around. And that was George who had to take evasive action and causing Scyther to get jacked because of the evasive action that was taken, and now Scyther on his teammate.
I'm wondering if it looks like, I don't know, I wonder if George has any damage to the wing. Yes, he does. I see a crack
Luke
on
again.
the right end plate.
Luke again had an off there, trying to gather it back up from what happened there just moments ago. And I think Knights as well almost had an off himself. He was lucky to keep it on the road. Knights with a 3-second time penalty, the second driver to pick up a track limit penalty, the first for multiple warnings. But while that all happened with Luke Owen just squawking around right there, Scyther took advantage of it most. He was 11th at the start of this lap. Now he's 7th, chasing after TB.
I was on board. I was just watching the cam with Luke. He had Owen to his left. George basically doing one of them wild attacks that we've seen in real life at Spa, with literally had his right wheels into the grass as he went for the attack, and unfortunately, I believe Luke trying to maintain being ahead of George, just slightly overshot his braking and just did a slight tap with Owen, and that's why he won around.
Luke Range is going to be so unhappy with Owen there because that DRS game that he was playing with Luke ended up costing Luke the most from all the way at turn 1 all the way to where TB's going through now. Korsman in DRS pursuit of Minico. Cookie only at a 1.3 second lead, and here's the Chiller, Knights, and all these guys battling it out on the Camel Straight. Gecko is the one leading the charge into Sector 2, and this range should be here any moment.
Yeah, range should be on the way within the next maybe 5 minutes, possibly. Oh, Korsman in the penalty box.
Korsman, a very costly mistake by going out of bounds, getting himself in the 3-second penalty club. He's the 4th one in that club this race.
And that was right. That was right in Puhan. Puhan is one of the corners that you can wind up getting yourself in trouble with track limit warnings and penalties. Eau Rouge and Radion is another, as Gecko has gotten it, and I see drops on my screen on Korsman's onboard.
Yes, I do too. Interestingly enough, this happens as Reese and Cookie start to pass the pit lane. I know it's not enough for Inter Tires yet, but who is going to be the first one to chance it and gamble? We have a DRS train now forming for 5th place once again. TB has caught back up. Scyther is right there as well. And in this train to help with Scyther is his car teammate, George Alp Williams. I almost said Academy. Hey, they're Academy and car teammates. Scyther just about pushing TB through a Rouge here, trying to get him to hurry up. And if Scyther doesn't get him to hurry up, he'll just blast past and he's going to take the place. 6th place now will go to Scyther, but TB does not want to give it up. He'll now give it up come the braking zone. Jack gets George in the process too. Scyther, a 3-second for corner cutting.
He overshot it. He overshot in the braking zone. I don't think that's going to get removed. He overshot it.
And the tricky thing about that is, though, although he overshot it and was ahead of TB, you're supposed to lose time when you go off track. I don't think Scyther really lost that much time right there. If he has a clip of it himself, that's totally fine. But the thing for him is that it's not a track limit penalty from multiple warnings. It's a track limit penalty just right away, an automatic one. Oh, wiggle from Owen. Scyther takes advantage down the inside. While this is happening, Scyther will go through, but the lead is at 2.7. Reese lost a second on that lap, and here comes Owen back at it. Owen making the move, going through. This track is extremely wet compared to what it was a lap ago, so you will see these guys take major caution in sections like these, as Owen is now the one in front for 5th once again.
Owen's going in.
TB is in. TB is in. Jack is in. George is in. And have they timed this perfect? Because this is a lap early in comparison to what the top 5 have done. Double stacking from a couple of teams such as AlphaTauri, Haas. They're all going to Inters. And look at the track conditions. We'll see what the difference does in terms of that, but the gap for the lead is 2.7 once again, just to reiterate that. With that being said, the pit stop loss time here is Reese is losing a second in the 1st sector from what he previously did. Just want to mention, pit stop loss, 18 seconds here.
Well, if Cookie winds up pitting, he is going to be almost 12 seconds ahead of TB now.
Yeah, Owen was not giving an inch, and he was just giving him the pinch. Go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying?
Yeah, that's probably what the pit stop. That's what it's gonna be when Cookie comes in. He's gonna be quite a gap ahead of some of these guys. I mean, just taking a look at the gaps right now. 17 seconds as DRS is now disabled. So 17 seconds, which would mean the top 4, if they pitted this lap, which they will, they're going to still stay ahead of TB, with Cookie being the big beneficiary by over 10 seconds.
Keep in mind, Red Bull will be double stacking. McLaren will be double stacking. Cookie is up in front of that. A move being made from TB at an unusual place on Luke, who is struggling on those medium tires, finally through. And TB is going to win out big here once everything cycles out, because him and Owen will both be ahead of Scyther, who just has come in. Everybody coming in right now except for Luke.
And the double stack playing into effect as Minico does jump Reese. So the double stack has affected Reese, unfortunately.
Oh my god, TB.
Let's see what happens here. Yeah, TB coming out of turn 1. See what's going to happen. And yeah,
oh my
he
god.
is going to be just behind Korsman.
But he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be. Here he goes.
Oh, no, this
at a
is not gonna be
rouge
good.
on
This
the
is not gonna be
outside
good.
line.
This is not gonna be good.
Side by side.
Oh my god. How did they not wreck?
They did bang. Minico and Reese also squawking up a second place move with Owen and Korsman just about banging wheels. Owen down the inside, and he's around. And he's collected Korsman.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Miles just took advantage to take P5. That's Alpine's best result this season, by the way.
Yeah, that was wildly enough, what happened with Owen when he had that little tap with TB and went around and got collected by Korsman. That was similar to earlier in the race with what happened with Luke. I don't know if the scenario was different and that TB didn't give Owen enough room. I don't know. But
everyone seems to want to replicate something that has happened earlier on in a previous season or previous race or a previous moment of the race. But now Scyther is...
And that battle that Korsman and TB had, I couldn't watch for a second. I thought they were gonna come together and crash. But how did they not wreck? It was just astounding.
Korsman got Jack, Owen got Scyther, and now we're on to lap 10. While the gap for the lead is 5 seconds, Lewis Piper is facing the wrong way.
Yeah, he spun out right at the entrance of Stavilo. That's where... So unfortunately, Lewis Piper being affected as Scyther down the side against Owen and Lasource and gets ahead, little bump between the two. But now Owen, well, he probably want to get past Scyther to reclaim the place, but he's got Scyther's teammate George right behind him as well.
No DRS at all. DRS got disabled a couple laps ago, so you got to use your battery to get past. And here comes Owen around the outside of Scyther this time, not giving it up, pressurizing him. We have yellow flags further and back, but side by side again here. This time, no collision. Scyther hanging it out on the outside line. The inside for the next corner becomes the position he wants. P7.
Wow, that was a wild battle there between those two. Owen and Scyther not giving any inches at all in regards to trying to get that same piece of real estate, and that is currently P7. But Scyther is ahead. But bear in mind, Scyther does have that 3-second corner cut for overshooting Endless Combs, and that also has me wondering, as you were mentioning, if Scyther didn't slow down after overtaking TB earlier in the race, would that subject to Scyther possibly getting into trouble for leaving the track and gaining an advantage?
Well, I will say though, his academy teammate NRM KVS is having a good day so far in the points. He could be taken off Scyther if that penalty does not get appealed, and Korsman is now trying to put the pressure on the fake TB. The leaders, though, have a gap that is ever changing. 5.8 has now become 5.2.
And 5.2 seconds separates the Red Bulls. Minico 1.3 behind Reese and trying his dangest to to try to go for it. Korsman is literally all over the back of TB, just pushing him as they head up to Rouge and Radion. TB gets
Oh!
himself in the penalty box because of overshooting at the top. Oh boy, little bump and bump between the two, but to keep it together and to keep
Elbows
it
out.
intact. And Korsman trying going in, and he gets it done. He's up into fourth, and Scyther, by the way, also cleared Jack to get himself into P6.
What is happening to Cookie right now? Is he just taking it very careful here? He has all the battery to spare while Reese Dainty is pushing it. He is down to 4.6 while Lewis Piper picks up yet another track limit penalty. So those penalties for 4th and 5th, by the way, and if you add on 6 now because Scyther is a part of that DRS train, all eliminates any chance right now, unless something major happens, at challenging Minico for a podium. Could today be the day?
Yeah, I'm just actually taking a look at the gaps right now. Currently, at the moment, with the 3-second penalties being applied, at the moment, Korsman will be keeping his 4th place at this present time. It looks like Jack will be going up into Minico and Reese.
Oh boy. Reese made a mistake then because the gap was just 4 seconds and Reese was catching up. Now that's caused Minico to catch up from that mistake. Trying to get in between the Red Bulls 1-2. Minico is within hot pursuit, and this is the good thing for Minico in comparison to where he was at earlier. Better usage on that battery.
Yeah, I think Reese did make a mistake somewhere, and Minico tried to take advantage, but unfortunately, I think he had to take evasive action because of Reese's mistake, because he was wide off track in Blanchimont, and when he overtook Reese, and unfortunately, he had to get the place back, or else he would have gotten a penalty for illegal overtake. But that does give Minico a good opportunity to go for the 2nd place spot. As Scyther, by the way, down the inside, was being challenged by TB actually, but TB just couldn't seem to get it done.
Lewis Piper again corner cutting. Luke Range into the pits once again. He is not having the day he would have wanted, and I would have hoped for better considering that change with him and Andrea.
Yeah, it's definitely not good for Luke. He was doing pretty decently so far in this race, earlier in the early stage of the race, but that little bump earlier with Owen has thrown his game off, unfortunately. And now the Chiller in the penalty box.
Once again, he already had one penalty. Now he's just making the matter worse for himself.
Looking at the leader gaps right now, Korsman and Scyther have pulled a 3-second gap to Jack, but TB still has about 1.1 seconds left to clear Jack out in order to keep his P6. But right now, at this present time, TB, at the race ended right now, TB will get demoted to 8th because of Jack and Owen.
Lewis Piper, another 3-second time penalty. Cam is onto the hards. That is shocking. However, I'm just going to look at the penalties for a second. Lewis Piper, the only one above 6 seconds. To Chiller's on 6. Everyone else having 3 seconds. Wheel to wheel to a Rouge and Rowdy on Scyther through before.
Ooh, baby.
That was a very opportunistic move. Yes, they are former teammates earlier this season, and Korsman's going to challenge back at it, but Scyther's still trying to defend.
I haven't said this in a long time, but yowie wowie, what a fight there.
Yowie wowie is right. Oh my word. Yellow flags. Lewis Piper is out in the pit lane. His day is over. He is the 2nd retirement. First in the pit lane. Cam on those hards
now officially been lapped.
Yes. It is not his day. Reese is now caught back up a 2nd from losing out on Cookie. But, yeah. Halfway through this race now with that being said, though.
Yeah, when Cookie passed Cam to put him a lap down, Cookie out of the campus chicane nearly lost it between campus and Stavilo. He got really loose out of that corner.
Yeah, so
I think it's turn
we have
12.
Minico still third for Mercedes. It would be another podium in a row for them, but this time coming from someone other than TB. We've got Scyther just only 2.9 back, but we're going to find out if he does appeal that later on. And it did say there was going to be a dry patch at the end of the race. Will that be enough for anyone to go to dry tires? We'll have to find out come later on.
Well, it also depends on how long the track will take to dry out, because I mean, when the raindrops came in, and for these guys to wind up pitting, it took almost about 2.5 minutes for their Nice has crashed, I think. Oh no, he's retired in the pits. Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Just checking the stream. He's okay. He's still live, so we're still live.
I'm back. Oh. Dropping stuff now. Oops. What's up? You were...
I
said I'd
thought
go
something
AFK.
happened because I didn't hear from you for a little bit. I thought something happened.
No, right when you spoke there, I said I was going AFK for just a second. So yeah, I'm back now.
Okay.
Just a reminder, folks. Next week for F1 Tier 1, we're in Zandvoort. We're in Austria next week for Tier 2, and tomorrow for Formula Endurance, we are in Bahrain for the season opener. 6.2 the gap between Cookie and Reese as we enter lap 15. Korsman is within striking distance of Scyther. Jack is within striking distance of Owen. And for what could be the last point spot later on, Egg and Zakaria.
And what's really interesting is that just take a peek at the leader gap boards right now. TB has now cleared Owen to keep his 6th place spot. So TB is now just surpassed the 3-second mark to keep the spot. But I say, but it looks of it between with Korsman and Scyther, given how close they are, I think this battle that they had a few laps ago is not over just yet.
Keep in mind, they both have 3-second time penalties until now. AMS Egg has been overtaken by Zakaria. Man, why do we do this?
I have no clue.
We're just two lame-o Americans commentating RPL. Anyways, 6 seconds for Korsman, by the way, will mean Owen will push a little bit further on.
Probably by the chat, I'm more lame than you.
Okay, that's whatever. 5.9. You know what I do find interesting, though? I know Cookie's probably not pushing, as I say, he turns on the battery while that happens. Reese catches, and then loses tons of time, and then the same cycle repeats itself over and over again. However, I will say Minico is still keeping Reese on his toes.
Yeah, he is. Minico currently about 1.7 seconds behind Reese. I mean, literally, despite that, I mean, literally it's basically the gap. The gap is literally Reese versus his Max Verstappen teammate. Scyther and Korsman going in.
Both are in, but what for? Why are both drivers pitting? Do they have damage, or are they going to another set of enters? Wets. Oh, but how long is it worth wet tires for becomes my question. Jack in, George in, KVS and Egg also in. I mean, I'm looking at this rain. It does look like it is monsoon conditions now and proper wet tires.
Well, this is gonna be interesting to say the least. I'm wondering, is that track too wet for it to happen? As Zakaria is ahead of Korsman for the time being. Korsman going down the inside against Zakaria. Zakaria's not looking to give it up at the moment. Oh, now he does.
Remember, although he's on loan for tonight in the Red Bull Academy, he's a full-time Ferrari Academy guy now. Or not full-time, reserve for Ferrari Academy. Excuse me. Luke got past Gecko while that happened. While we're looking at this, let's see the leader gap in terms of these wet tires. Is Scyther catching Cookie? The answer is yes, and by a lot.
Yes, currently the gap 27 seconds, and it is going down. And that also means on Scyther's end, he is improving. I mean, literally, he was nearly 8 seconds behind Owen. Now it's almost 6.5. So
this is
think
going to be a
those inters are definitely
masterclass.
not worth it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're wearing or not, but does anyone inside the top 5 take a gamble? Reese does.
Is going in.
He's in. Minako's in too, while Cookie is staying out. This could be very interesting.
I would probably go in too, because you won't risk a double stack.
Owen stays out. Owen is risking this. Are these wet tires, though, gonna be worth it until the end of the race, or is this just a short period where the wets are slightly faster? I mean, it's clearly between Owen and Scyther, what you said, a 6-second gap momentarily ago. That was a slide from Owen. Now, with Owen and Scyther, it's probably, what, a 5-second gap?
Just gets ahead a minute ago.
Yeah, he does. He jumped him, and now Korsman looks to do the same. The gap with Owen and Scyther now 3 seconds, so this is much faster from the wets than we had anticipated. Here's Korsman now on Minako. Minako, pinning that lap later, has definitely costed himself. And here he comes, Korsman on the move, but can't get the move by Sector 2. Korsman slid, but kept it straight.
These two are keeping it close. They're trying not to outbreak each other because they don't want to wind up bumping into each other and causing even more issues.
Hold on. Reese, around the outside, becoming the inside, picks off Owen. Owen very wide, Scyther taking an advantage, and now Scyther about to get Reese. Oh, squeeze play right there.
Oh, baby, here we go.
We see from the onboard for a moment, Scyther going through on Reese. Scyther pitting that lap earlier has taken advantage, but Reese wants back down the inside and forces Scyther the long way out and into a somewhat error, while Minako got Korsman. Reese is still not done battling Scyther. Scyther with the up and under, going through, getting the move done. Cookie's in. Cookie is in, but Scyther and Reese still wheel to wheel. It's still not done. Reese going through, Scyther having to back out. And now here comes Minako with Korsman just behind. Oh, but Scyther's going to go for a late lunge. Here he goes with the dive bomb, side by side. Reese pushing him out wide and onto the curb. Minako looking to take a chance at pouncing on this battle for second place in this race. Cam is out. That's in the pit lane. We also had Knights retire moments ago. But Scyther pinching, not giving an inch. The door almost being shut, but Reese is not giving up. He's got the outside and is ahead.
Oh my God, that was some wild action there. I mean, literally, these guys just battle for well over a lap. Woo!
It's still not done. The yellow flags for Cam's car is also not done either. Scyther using all the battery he can, but he really is the worst one on the battery here in this area. Remember, Owen staying out. TB pitted, but for the inters this time.
I'm wondering if TB going on new inters, if that's a good call or that's going to bite him right now. Because remember, TB still has that 3-second penalty for track limits at the top of Radion. Right now, at the moment, he is going to be falling down to 10th place behind George and KVS.
It's incredible how the full wets are being used in an RPL race once again. TB is using battery to defend from George once again. The battle for second not over. Right now, with the penalties applied, Minico will be on the podium. But it's a matter of will Scyther get that 3-second removed.
I mean, honestly, I don't think he could because, like I said earlier, he overshot braking zone and he couldn't, he couldn't make it happen, and that's what happened. Oh, I just got booed out, I think.
Oh no, Luke Range left the session. Korsman lagged out. I only see Korsman lagging out of anybody. I'll invite him back. Obviously, Luke Range lost connection as host. We'll see if any glitches appear because of that, but this is crucial in terms of the battle for P4 and P5. Owen will now eat him alive.
Yeah, I don't have Korsman on my list.
I already got him. It's okay.
You got him? Okay, good.
Yep. Big battle for 8th. Still continuing. TB in the penalty box. KVS and George free to race here. And Academy teammates. What does TB do? Down the Camel straight. Is he close enough? He's closing, but not close enough.
You know, given TB has that penalty at the moment, if I was George, I would basically be an annoyance to TB. Just hold him up long enough for KVS to make a move, get past TB to take the 9th place spot, and then once KVS gets past TB, both the Haas and the Ferrari will just take off and go.
And also, just something to mention, too, from Minico being P4. He knows Scyther has that 3-second penalty, but does he know that Scyther may try and get that removed? I know Scyther's character, he would want to get that removed, and he's not going to go down without a fight, but is it worth it? And if you're Minico, I still think it's worth it to try to get Scyther just in case it gets removed.
Yeah, I don't...
3 laps to go. Cookie leading. And on halfway on that battery, a 6-second gap. Maybe it could have been a 4-second gap at this point in this race if that battling was not so intense for half a lap around Spa in the wet with those guys for 2nd place. I really wonder maybe what could have been. It was actually a full lap, I would say, in terms of the battling. I don't think it was just half a lap. It was a full lap. And around the circuit in the wet, that's like almost 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's highly likely. I'm just taking a look at the chat. I'm taking a look at the driver chat. Looks like Korsman got booted off of everything. He lost his stream, lost connection to the session.
Hold on.
He can't get he's disconnected to the stream, but not to anything else.
Jack Miles gets the move done on Owen for 6th place. Now he's chasing after Korsman for 5th on track. The thing I noticed with Owen on those inners aren't getting much worse, although the tire wear is. In terms of pace difference with the wets and inners, they're not getting much worse, but the fact of the matter is that Korsman's pace drop-off due to the amount of time he's not been in the session is even worse than that. Keep in mind, if the race were to end right now and Scyther ends up being P4, it's over a 100-point gap Cookie has on Scyther, whereas Red Bull continue to get another one to and extend that championship lead for the constructors. Just a reminder, folks, tomorrow we're in Bahrain for endurance. George and TB are wheel-to-wheel for 8th place. George on the inside, TB the long way around, getting through on intermediate tires, but I don't think George wants to be done with this battle just yet.
Yeah, very true indeed. Let's see.
I'm going to have to get Korsman again. Please focus on the battles while I do that, because I only have Korsman, you said. Alright. Got him again. He's back in. Good.
He's gonna have to really fire. He's gonna have to really fire himself on all cylinders because he just got overtaken by TB for the 7th place spot.
I think these last 2 laps, these inners are really going to come in now. I really do. It does look like the rain has died down. And speaking of those inners being better, here's
the Jack.
The move being made for 6th. Owen can't do it. For 5th, excuse me. Owen's in 6th. By the way, I just want to mention this. You know, I want to give fair credit to Minico right now. This is his first wet race in RPL. Fair credit with how he has done. It's not Cookie's first. Other people might have a first in terms of that, but Gecko, 3-2. And yellow flags. That is Korsman joining back the session and having an issue. He is now about to be out of the points.
Yeah, this is not good at all for him.
This McLaren just had their streak ended just a few weeks ago of consecutive points finishes. They're going to see another race, it looks like, without being in the points. Final lap underway for Cookie. Here is 5th place up for grabs. Owen and Jack dueling it out again. Owen locking the brakes up, trying to avoid hitting the back of Jack. TB is there as well for company in the background if anything else can be produced. The final lap for these guys for 5th. Owen, is he going to get the move done by turn 1? You can see the rain has died down a lot, but he's rear locking it, trying to avoid hitting Jack because the overspeed the Inters have into the braking zones.
I'm probably going to be sensing a last lap charge here, and yeah, Korsman's off, and Lasource, that's it for him, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate for Korsman, but it's not unfortunate for Owen, who's getting the move on the last lap out down the Camel Straight. He's going through and taking 5th place from Jack Miles. Also in the background, a Chiller has gotten Korsman. That's outside the points. Our last points runner now becomes AMS Egg due to Korsman's troubles. And NRM KVS gets promoted a place from that up to 9th for the Haas guy, which with TB's penalties and potential post-race penalties could become 8th. We are about to enter the last sector with Cookie, Reese, and Scyther.
Ooh, TB on Jack!
The move is complete. Those Inters, maybe too little too late in terms of the lap time increase that they're seeing. Scyther is still trying to get Reese for 2nd on track. But the man of the hour, Cookie, is coming to the bust-up chicane. The last time a driver won from pole position in Spa, comes all the way back in Season 2, and this win is going to put him 3rd, tied on the all-times win list. Cookie wins Spa. Reese, a personal best of 9 consecutive podiums in RPL, while Minico, so many chances he's had for a podium, it has slipped away, but no longer that's the case. He takes 3rd place in an RPL Tier 1 race for the first time in his career, putting Canada on the podium for the first time as a nation in Tier 1. Scyther only settled for 4th. If he gets it appealed, he'll be 3rd. Owen 5th, Jack TB, George KVS, and AMS Egg for Williams is the last points runner, while Zakaria had an issue in the last chicane.
Yeah, he had a moment there as Zakaria, because of penalties by the other driver, shoots up to 11th, but fair credit to Egg getting himself into the points. But I mean, to be fair, unfortunately, it was because of the McLaren pair having disconnect issues with Luke lagging out, and it took his teammate out with him. And it was very unfortunate for Korsman. He was up around in the top 5, and unfortunately out of the points. But as you mentioned, I give fair credit to Minico. He finally has done it. He's got himself onto the podium for the first time. Good credit to him. And Cookie, with his win, with his win and his gap of 5.6 seconds over Reese, with his 11 wins and the margin of victory, his average margin of victory did take a slight hit. Last week it was average 9.69 seconds per race. It is now fallen to 9.319 seconds.
For the first time in his RPL career, he has won 4 consecutive races as well. Congrats to him. Minico points in 9 of the last 10 races that he's done. Here are your final results.
Well, now
folks.
I'm torn on who I'm going to give driver of the day to. Should I give it to Scyther or should I give it to Minico? Because I mean, Minico got his first podium, and Scyther started dead last, and he got us up 4th.
Yeah, I think Scyther is a really good candidate. Minico is a really good candidate too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm split
That's
on
why
them.
I'm torn. I have no clue.
We lost today Cam, Knights, Piper, and Zatsy. Here are your results. Fastest lap goes to Cookie for yet another week in a row. This is his 7th consecutive fastest lap in a row. Yeah, driver of the day. I'm really split on Minico or Scyther. I say,
I mean, and don't forget, Scyther could possibly find himself in trouble because I just read the driver's chat, and I think Minico and TB are thinking that he probably did lead the track and gained an advantage to overtake TB.
I'll make a deal with my opinion at least. If Scyther gets his penalty removed, I'm gonna put him driver of the day. If it's not removed, I'm saying Minico driver of the day.
That's not.
I think that's simple.
That's
simple there.
I'm actually just gonna play it safe. I'm gonna give it to Minico. I'm gonna give it to Minico because I have a feeling that the 3 second, if Scyther tries to get it removed, it's not going to, and the fact that he might possibly find himself in trouble for that corner right there, I'm just gonna play it safe and give it to Minico.
Well, the interesting thing, by the way, is that Scyther said, based on RPL rules, Reese punted him out of the way for a position, so realistically, Scyther could get Reese penalized. But is it a 3 second or a 5 second, and how does that affect Reese if he does get penalized? We'll have to see what gets submitted. Some final thoughts in the race, Titan, before we end off the stream. Well, I'll give my final thoughts. I think it was a good race. Not the best race we've seen this season, not the most interesting, but one that kept us on the edge of our seat in terms of interesting moves, ballsy overtakes, and one that's worth a watch back for a while. The first time a driver has won from pole in Spa since Season 2, Portly Boot. Little fun fact to go with that. The 3 times that the winner has come from pole position here, it has been with 3 different teams. And Cookie is now 3rd on the all-time win list with 12 wins, 11 this season, 4 consecutive race victories. Can anybody stop him? Tomorrow, we're in Bahrain for Formula Endurance. We're in Austria for Tier 2 next week. And we return to racing action in F1 Tier 1 in Zandvoort. Until next time, folks, RPL Titan Iron, Ryan Searles signing off for the commentary. Have a good night, folks. We'll see you next week. Or tomorrow. Whichever one you choose to watch from Endurance or Tier 1.